The flu of 1918, millions dead worldwide. Just keep in mind as we're reading this that this was written before COVID, and you'll see some things that'll make you think of COVID. All right, so we have our table of contents. So today we're going to be reading Not the Normal Flu, starting on page 4. And then we'll read He'll Be Dead by Morning. Okay. Not the normal flu. It was a fall day in 1918 when Donald Jacoby came home sick from school in South Buffalo, New York. The 5-year-old had a high fever. Donald's parents were fairly certain that their son had influenza or the flu. People with the flu feel very sick for a few days. However, they usually get better soon. Unfortunately, this was no ordinary flu. There's a picture of Donald Jacoby as a boy. So I can see these pictures of the people laying here. Donald's fever didn't go down over the next few days, so his parents called the doctor to check on him. The doctor told Donald's parents to take their son to the hospital right away. When the family reached the hospital, however, they were told they couldn't come inside. Other patients might catch what Donald had. Instead, the boy had to go to a nearby building called the Pest House, a place where flu patients were sent to die. I wonder why they called it the Pest House. Were the germs the pest, or was it the people with the flu? What's the context tell you? What do you think? Picture so you can see. It says all of the patients crowded into this hospital in 1918 were sick with the flu. And it says people with the flu can get headaches, chills, a fever, achy muscles, a cough, sore throat, and feel extremely weak. So how can you tell if you might be getting the flu? Let's add the symptoms that they mentioned over here to our semantic map. Let's see the picture here. He'll be dead by morning. Donald's mother, Magdalena, asked the doctor in the pest house for help. There's nothing we can do for him, he said. He'll be dead by morning. Magdalena replied, if he's going to die, he's going to die at home. The family brought Donald into their car and began the drive back to their house. During the ride, Donald's health got worse. The 5-year-old became unconscious. It seemed as though he might soon be dead. It was the quarantine. Sounds familiar from COVID, right? Influenza. Keep out of this house. It says, the flu spreads quickly and easily between people. When Donald was sick, the Jacobys put a quarantine sign outside their home to warn friends and neighbors to stay away because they could catch the disease. This was an actual quarantine sign. If it was on your house, no one could come in. Let's add quarantine to our semantic map. Surprisingly, Donald got better. After about a week, he woke up. His family fed him soup and other hot liquids. Slowly, the young boy started to feel well again. He still needed rest, but over time, he gained his strength back. Unfortunately, others were not so lucky. The flu that almost killed Donald was also attacking millions of people around the world. How had this deadly plague spread so far and so fast? In 1918, hospitals didn't have enough room to care for all the flu patients. Influenza sufferers were placed in temporary shelters like this auditorium in California. When there's not enough hospital space, you have to use whatever buildings are available that you can. Look closely at this picture. What are some details that you notice? Zoom in here a little bit. Let's see. Glare's too bad over here. This area. Okay, chapter 3, Tiny Invaders. Influenza infections, including the one that attacked Donald, are caused by viruses. These are small germs that cause diseases. A flu virus enters a person's body when he or she breathes it in. After entering a person, the virus invades one of the cells that make up the body, such as a lung cell. The virus then makes thousands of copies of itself. Viruses destroy the cell by breaking out of it. Next, they look for other cells to invade and kill. Picture here, see, flu virus. This close-up image, flu virus, brown, are shown inside a lung, blue. Looking at this picture, how do we know that this picture of the flu virus was taken after 1918? Think about the time period, 1918, and cameras. And the other pictures we looked at. What evidence do we have? Read this, we can read it. In 1918, doctors knew influenza was spread through the air. However, they didn't know that the flu was caused by a virus because the microscopes they used at the time weren't powerful enough to see it. So the flu, because it was able to be spread through the air, we call that airborne. Let's add airborne to our map. Just keep in mind, as we're adding this, some viruses and bacteria are not airborne. You might pick them up by eating or by drinking. Luckily, human bodies have white blood cells, which surround and destroy viruses. They also have proteins, which make a body strong. One kind of protein, called an antibody, grabs onto viruses and stops them from moving through the body. Usually, white blood cells and antibodies can easily fight off flu viruses. However, the 1918 flu was stronger than most flu viruses. So usually, white blood cells and antibodies can easily fight off viruses. Now, when we use that term fight, that's really a figurative language here, right? Because it's not fighting in the way that, a fist fight happens between two people, but it's a good way to describe what is happening between the cells. So it's a good word to use for it. Part of the sick feeling a flu sufferer gets, like a sore throat, is from the damage the virus does to the body's cells. On the bottom here it says, it's a little more straight. The flu virus spreads easily from person to person when someone breathes, coughs, or sneezes. It can also spread when a person touches an object with the flu germs on it, such as a doorknob, and then touches his or her nose or mouth. So, reading that now, we have evidence that the virus is not just airborne. So now we know you can also get the virus from touching a surface that has the virus on it, then touching your face, near your nose and your mouth. Okay, I'm going to stop there.